We are going behind the story on CBS Colorado as we explore the lost history of Asian American Pacific Islanders in our state. The goal of this segment is to give viewers transparency on how a story came about by asking your reporter who put it together. And we're doing things slightly different this time around since this story hasn't aired yet.
That's right. It will soon, though. Millions of those who identify as AAPI live in the United States, contributing to the culture and economy, but they were often overlooked and sometimes forgotten. So I talked to several people around our community about that lost history. Here's a preview from Asian American Pacific Islanders' lost history. The Colorado Tribune announced the arrival of the first Chinese immigrant on June 29, 1869, saying he's come, the first John Chinaman in Denver. Unfortunately, that name stuck for many Chinese immigrants who made Colorado home. In places like Nederland and Leadville, the Chinese were warned to not come, and those communities took pride in driving them out.
The Chinese have, like other groups of people, the problem of being anonymous. So they refer to them basically as representative of this group of people who would later be considered an invasive species in Colorado. And like other invasive species, they would eventually be, well, unfortunately, rooted out.
And that's just a little snippet of what this special tells, but it really tells the story of 4 different cultures, 4 different communities in Colorado, the contribution to not only the country, but the state as well. And it's important to tell those stories because so many of us really don't know the history.
Right.
I mean, I grew up in Colorado, in Denver, my entire life, and I didn't know that there was a Chinatown in Denver.
Yeah, I'm brand new here, and I didn't know there was a Chinatown, so it gave me more enlightenment of that history here in Colorado. I also think it's relevant nowadays. I mean, especially since we saw a lot of the Asian American Pacific Islander hate that we saw post-pandemic wise, and there was a lot of times where it was just like, what is going on? And I think if we look back at the history, perhaps it can kind of change the narrative on future events here. But yeah, very important to tell these stories.
Very important, and we highlight the Chinese experience, the Japanese experience, the Vietnamese experience, and something close to your heart,
the Filipino experience as well, which is very cool for me because I get to explore that here in Colorado. But overall, it was just so enlightening to hear these stories from all these different cultures, to learn about what it was like for them to come to a state that typically is not really known for Asian Americans. I mean, we know there's a lot of Asian Americans along the West Coast, but to hear their stories, especially for example, the Chinese immigrants who came here building the railroads. I mean, it's just an amazing story of perseverance for them to arrive here and to persevere and to thrive here in Colorado as well.
Sure, they contributed so much, and for so many decades, we're not even given that credit.
Yeah,
especially when you're talking about the railroads and mining and businesses here in our state. So it was great working on this with you.
Yeah,
it was a good project to work on together. I mean, we're here together for hours, and we're like, let's just work together some more.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when we talk about the process here in terms of putting these stories together, it's something that we both kind of, we split. We told 2 different groups here for the special. But I think it was important to do that because we both learned a lot.
We did.
Right? We both learned a heck of a lot in terms of Asian American and Pacific Islander history here in Colorado.
We learned about our community, and that's what we want the viewers to learn about, too, because this is their history. It's part of their history, too, especially if you live here in Colorado and you want to know what happened here in the past and what is still happening in the present. So we can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Colorado history, by the way. Asian American Pacific Islanders Lost History airs Monday night at 6:30 right here on CBS News Colorado. We hope you can watch.